What's up everybody? So today we are going to go over how to drive a manual transmission vehicle, commonly known as a stick shift. So today I am in the 2010 Lotus Evora. This has a 6-speed manual transmission. So today this video is for the beginner. If you've never been inside of a manual transmission vehicle, this video is going to help you learn. Before we begin to drive, let's go over what is new in a manual transmission vehicle. So in the center, you're going to have your gear selector. This is commonly known as the stick shift. This is in the neutral position when you can easily move it left and right. Now if you push it over to the left and forward, that'll be your first gear. Then straight back, that's your second gear. Third gear, you push it forward a little bit, let it go over to the right, put it up. Fourth gear is all the way straight back. And then for fifth gear, you push it forward to the right. Now you're in fifth. And then sixth is all the way back. Now a lot of cars are going to have a pattern of some sort. You can see we have the same pattern right here, and a reverse on this car is up and to the left. So for this car, back in the neutral, you're going to pull this piece up, and your car may be different. It might just have you push hard on the shifter, so you pull this one up, put it way over, and now that's in reverse. And then for first gear again, pull it out, neutral, and now it doesn't go as far. You're also going to have an emergency brake. A lot of cars, you'll have a handbrake just like this. Some cars may have an electronic handbrake or a foot emergency brake. And the other thing that you're going to have in a manual is 3 pedals. The one on the far right, that's your gas pedal, just like your normal car. The one in the center is your brake pedal, like a typical car. But the new one is the one on the far left. That's going to be your clutch pedal. You push it all the way down to open up the clutch. Pulling it back re-engages it. And what the clutch does, it basically connects the engine to the transmission. And when you press down the pedal all the way, that opens it up to where the engine is technically not connected to the transmission. And when you push it, there's going to be some resistance. The first inch, not really much, but as you get a little farther, like right here, it gets a little heavy, and then you hold it all the way. That's the engagement point, or commonly called the bite point. That is when the clutch is actually starting to connect. When you first get in a manual car, the e-brake is probably going to be engaged, which is pulled all the way up. You also want to see where your gear shifter is. A lot of people will park it in a gear, so you want to make sure that is in neutral when you start the vehicle. And again, neutral is when you can push this left and right. It might be in second gear or something, which is farther back, but you want to make sure that gets into the center portion of this whole shift boot. If it's in gear forward, you want to pull it back a little bit, and now you're in neutral. Now that we've gone over your pedals, your e-brake, and your shifter, let's go ahead and start the vehicle. I always make sure it's in neutral, so I can move that left and right. We're in neutral, e-brake is on. Now we're going to push that clutch pedal all the way down to the floor, and then take your key, insert it into the ignition, and start the car. And what I like to do, make sure you're in neutral again, and then let off the clutch. And one thing I like to do whenever I get in a new manual car is just rev the engine a little bit. Doing that, you can kind of feel the throttle response, and you're going to want to look at the tachometer, which shows the engine speed, which is the RPM. I like to do that just so I can get a feel for the throttle response of the vehicle. Now that the engine is running, you're going to take your left foot, push the clutch all the way down, put your foot on the brake, grab the shifter over to the left, straight forward for first gear. Now to start moving, you're going to take your foot off the brake. Hopefully you're starting on flat ground, that's the easiest. And now very slowly let your foot off the clutch. And as you do it, you're going to see the tachometer drop, so the RPMs are now falling a little bit as the transmission starts to bite, and the car is starting to roll. And we're still on the clutch, and now I'm completely off the clutch. Now the car is going to roll about 5 miles an hour, so now you can give the car a little bit of gas, and now we're accelerating. And then to shift, you're just going to push your foot with the clutch, pull the shifter all the way back into second gear, and then slowly let your foot off the clutch once again. Now a lot of times you might have to give the car some gas to accelerate. Some cars you just let off the clutch slowly like that and you'll start to move. But if you were to give it some gas, same procedure, get yourself in gear. Now you're going to slowly let off the clutch until you see the RPMs drop. And now with your right foot, just give it a little gas as you continue to let off. So you're kind of doing this kind of movement. And now we're moving very smoothly, clutch all the way in, down into second gear, slowly let off the clutch while you give the gas more. So let's go over that whole procedure once again with the car off. Basically, you're going to put your clutch all the way down. You're already in gear. and then you're just slowly letting it out. You'll feel it bite and the car will slowly start to move. And you want to make sure when you're taking your foot off the clutch, it's just very slow, fluid movement. You don't want to do it quickly or you will most likely stall. And then if you are giving the car some gas, you'll let your foot off the clutch and just give it a little bit of gas, nothing crazy, and slowly let off as you continue to give it some more gas. Now that we have that mastered, getting up and moving into a parking lot, let's get out on the main road and accelerate. So same procedure. Now you give it more gas, clutch all the way in, down to second, back on the gas as you let off, clutch in, now into third gear, now clutch all the way back in, put all the way back now for fourth gear, and then clutch in, over to the right and forward. We're now in fifth gear, and then sixth gear, just straight back. And now you're cruising. Now as you're driving a manual, you're gonna find that the car does not shift without you doing it. In an automatic, you just give the car more gas and it will downshift to the correct gear. So right now I'm approaching a hill, and in sixth gear, we're under 2,000 RPM. And for this particular car, there's really no power in sixth gear. So what I wanna do is downshift so I can get some more power out of the vehicle. So we're in sixth gear, I wanna push the clutch all the way in. Now push it to fifth gear, giving it some more gas as I let off the clutch. We're now in fifth gear, but I still want to be a little lower, so let's go down to fourth gear now. We're in fourth gear, and now we're up in the mid 2,000 RPM, and that was enough power in that gear so I could get up to speed again. And a cool thing with a manual, you don't have to go in order. So going from sixth, if I know this car very well, I could just go straight to fourth gear. So push your clutch in, put it into the neutral position, now pull it straight back into fourth gear. And now we're right in fourth gear, so I can accelerate again at this speed. So I'm now coming up to a turn, and the way you want to do this, basically put the car into neutral and use your brake to slow the vehicle down as you get up to the turn. So I'm slowing down, I will be coming to a stop to make this turn. I'm going to stay in neutral, you don't need to be on the clutch. Now I'm getting ready to move, so back in first, and the same, rocking off the clutch, giving it some gas. And now we're starting to move again. All right, so at a stop sign, let's get back up to speed. Put your foot all the way in the clutch, engage first gear, slowly let off the clutch, give it some gas, and the car will start to move. Accelerate more. The more you drive your manual car, you're going to realize what gear works at a correct speed. So as I slow down for a turn, I know this car, so a third gear is better. I'm in sixth right now. Clutch in to neutral, straight up to third. And now back on the gas with plenty of power. When you're first learning to drive a stick shift, you might stall it. So here's what a stall looks like, and of course you don't want to do this too much. Basically, when you're in gear, you're going to be letting out the clutch too quickly, and like I showed earlier, it's that slow movement, letting off the clutch, giving it a little gas. So if you let it off too early, so the car just stalled. So what a stall is, basically the engine and the transmission got connected too quickly, the clutch just closed and clamped together, and you weren't going fast enough and it shut off. So when that happens, push the clutch in, start the car up again, put it back into gear, and you can even keep your foot on the brake if you wanted to. Let off the clutch just a little bit, very slowly. The tach is dropping, give it a little gas, and we're now driving again. So next up is starting on a hill. This is going to be pretty nerve-wracking your first few times. Even after many years, it's not something you really like to do. So the problem with starting on a hill is you'll roll back. So letting off the brake, I instantly rolled back. And if there's a car behind you, that's not good. So the best way to start off on a hill, we're gonna use the ebrake method. Now if you have a handbrake like this, that'll be your easiest way. If you have an electronic parking brake or a foot brake, it's not really gonna work the same. So most likely you have a hand brake. What you're gonna do is pull it all the way up to hold the car. So now with my foot off the brake, as you can see, the car is not moving. So what I wanna do now, put my foot in the clutch, push it all the way down, get myself into first gear. And you wanna keep your right hand, or if you have your owner of the car with you, they can do the e-brake for you. You're gonna hold the e-brake and get ready to disengage it. So I'm in gear, I'm gonna slowly let off the clutch just like flat ground. It starts to bite a little bit, give it some gas, and now let off the e-brake. So I made it up the hill with no issues. And using that e-brake technique is a very good, easy way to do it if you're just in a hurry, you don't want to roll back or anything. And a lot of times you can keep the button pressed, just hold the e-brake up just to hold you, and slowly rock off the clutch pedal, give it some gas just like flat ground, and you'll move. So now we're going to go over the other way to start on a hill without using the e-brake. This is more of an advanced technique. Definitely use the e-brake method until you're very comfortable with it. So now, just like on flat ground, clutch all the way in, first gear. My right foot is still holding the brake because I don't want to roll back. Now this is going to be a quick change from your right foot being on the brake to then the gas. So just like normal, slowly let off the clutch. I feel that bite point right about there. So at that bite point is when you're gonna put your right foot on the gas and then continue that maneuver of switching off. So letting off the clutch, starting to bite, give it some gas as I let off the clutch, and we're moving. Now, as you can see, I rolled back that far. In the car, I feel like I rolled back maybe 3 or 4 feet. However, we'll look at the camera that he's filming outside. Most likely, I didn't really roll back that far. So watching this now. So, as you can see, it looks like I maybe rolled back less than a foot. I felt like I rolled back 3 feet. So you just need to know when you are rolling back in a start like this, of course, give it gas, let off the clutch so you can move, but you're probably not gonna roll back as much as you think. So next thing we're gonna go over is when you come to a stop. So as you approach a stop sign, you're gonna slow down. Sometimes you can downshift as you slow down, but for the most part, clutch in, put it in neutral, and just use your brake to slow down the vehicle. So now we're at a stop. What you wanna do, don't put your foot on the clutch. Some people will keep their foot on the clutch and in gear the entire time, but what that's actually doing is slightly wearing out your clutch. It's basically holding the spring open so everything's apart. You might as well put it in neutral, let it relax, and you can just stay at a stoplight like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video on how to drive a manual transmission vehicle. They're tons of fun. A lot of cool sports cars offer them nowadays, and it's definitely a skill you want to learn. It kind of just opens up your horizons. You're able to drive more cars, maybe see a really cool sports car that you would love to test drive one day. And if you can drive a stick shift and that car happens to have a manual, you'll be good to go. You can test it out and just drive some pretty sweet cars. So thank you all for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Like our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram for tons of photos of the Lotus Evora. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube for many videos of the new addition to the channel, which is the Lotus Evora. So thanks for watching. We'll see you all next video.